There is a specific kind of record that unsettles us more than most. Not photographs, not documents. Voice. A voice recorded in real time, mid-thought, mid-sentence, is the closest thing we have to standing inside another person's experience. We can't verify what they saw. We can only verify that they saw something. And in the gap between those two things, between what they reported and what we can confirm, is where this story lives.
It's not an aircraft.
Frederick Valentich was 20 years old. He was not, by any standard account, an exceptional pilot. He held a Class 4 instrument rating, authorizing him to fly at night, but only in clear conditions. He had logged approximately 150 hours of flight time. He had twice applied to the Royal Australian Air Force and been rejected. He had twice failed all 5 commercial license exams. He had also been warned for straying into controlled airspace over Sydney. He had twice flown deliberately into cloud cover, a violation serious enough that prosecution was being considered. These details matter, not to diminish him, but because the investigation that would follow his disappearance would return to them again and again, looking for an explanation. On the afternoon of Saturday, October the 21st, Valentich attended the Moorabbin briefing office in Melbourne's southeastern suburbs. He obtained a meteorological briefing. He submitted a flight plan. The destination, King Island, a small island south of the Victorian coast, sitting in the middle of Bass Strait, 235 kilometers from Moorabbin Airport. He told the briefing officer he was going to pick up friends. He told others he was going to collect crayfish. Later investigations found no evidence either was true. He did not arrange for runway lights to be activated at King Island Airport upon arrival. He did not inform King Island Airport that he intended to land there at all. At 6:19 in the evening, with a full tank of fuel, Valentich lifted off from Moorabbin in a rented Cessna 182L, registration Delta Sierra Juliet, and climbed to his planned cruising altitude of 4,500 feet. The weather was calm. Visibility was good. There was nothing unusual about the conditions. He was never seen again. At 7:06 p.m., 47 minutes into his flight, Valentich contacted Melbourne Flight Service. What followed was 6 minutes and 12 seconds of recorded radio exchange.
Undetermined, I have seen a large aircraft, Flight 5000.
Delta Sierra Juliet, Melbourne. What type of aircraft is it?
Delta Sierra Juliet. I cannot affirm to 4 bright, seems to be like landing lights, but this is Delta Sierra Juliet. The aircraft is just past us on me, at least 1,000 feet above.
Delta Sierra Juliet, roger, and it is a large aircraft, confirm?
Unknown. Due to the speed it's travelling, is there any Air Force aircraft in the vicinity?
Delta Sierra Juliet, no known aircraft in the vicinity.
Melbourne, it's approaching now from due east towards it. It seems to me that he's playing some sort of game, flying over me 2-3 times at a time at speeds I could not identify. However, it is 4,500, 4500.
Delta Sierra Juliet, and confirm you cannot identify the aircraft?
Affirmative. Melbourne, Delta Sierra Juliet, it's not an aircraft. It is...
Delta Sierra Juliet, Melbourne, can you describe the aircraft?
Delta Sierra Juliet, as it's flying past, it's the long shapes. Can't identify more today, just not speed. For me right now, Melbourne.
And how large would the object be?
It seems like it's chasing me. What I'm doing right now is orbiting, and the thing is just orbiting on top of me also. It's got a green light and sort of metallic light. All shining in the outside. It's just vanished. Melbourne would know what some aircraft I've got. Is it a military aircraft?
And Delta Sierra Juliet, confirm the aircraft just vanished?
Say again?
And Delta Sierra Juliet, is the aircraft still with you?
Delta Sierra Juliet on north, south, Flight from the southwest. Melbourne. That strange aircraft is hovering on top of me again. It is hovering, and it's not an aircraft. Dr. Stewart, Juliet, Melbourne.
A sea and air search began within hours. It included an RAAF Lockheed P-3 Orion, 8 civilian aircraft, ocean-going ship traffic already in the strait. Over the following days, the search covered more than 1,000 square miles. On October 22nd, an oil slick was found 18 miles north of King Island. It was not established as having any connection to Valentich's aircraft. On October 25th, 4 days after the disappearance, the search was called off. No aircraft, no wreckage, no body. 5 years later, parts of an aircraft with partial matching serial numbers were found in the strait. No further determinations were made. In May 1982, the Bureau of Air Safety Investigation released its official findings. The conclusion was 4 words: presumed fatal. Cause undetermined. In the years that followed, 4 primary explanations emerged. None of them were ever confirmed. None of them were ever eliminated. A pilot flying at night over open water with no visible horizon can become profoundly confused about which way is up. The lights he described, the green light, the metallic surface, the object orbiting above him, could, investigators suggested, have been reflections of his own navigation lights on the water below, or lights from the Cape Otway and King Island lighthouses, perceived by a disoriented mind as something outside the aircraft. The Department of Transport called this the most probable explanation. It does not explain the metallic sound at the end of the recording. The Cessna 182L carried enough fuel for approximately 800 kilometers of flight, well beyond King Island. At no point during the flight was the aircraft plotted on radar, raising the question of whether it was ever near Cape Otway at all. Melbourne police received reports around the same time as the disappearance of a light aircraft making a mysterious landing not far from Cape Otway. Valentich's stated reasons for the flight, collecting friends, collecting crayfish, were both false. His actual motivation was never established. Against this, he had no money, no apparent plan, no known destination. His father, Guido, said it was simply not in his character. The people who knew him did not recognize the man this theory required. Investigators raised a possibility, more personal, more difficult to examine in documents. Valentich had failed his commercial license exams repeatedly, including 3 subjects just 1 month before his disappearance. He was 20 years old with an aviation career that, by every institutional measure, was not progressing. Keith Basterfield, who later rediscovered the official case file and spent years on the case, conducted interviews with doctors and colleagues who knew him. His conclusion: this possibility was, in his word, virtually eliminated. It also does not explain what he described in the transmission. On the evening of October 21st, 1978, the Victorian UFO Research Society received at least 50 independent reports of unusual lights and objects in the sky over Bass Strait. The witnesses included a family near Cape Otway, fishermen in the strait, a woman driving along the coast. They did not know each other. They had no apparent reason to fabricate. An amateur photographer named Roy Manifold had been photographing the sunset near Cape Otway Lighthouse that evening, almost directly below Valentich's flight path. When he developed his photos, one of them showed a dark shape in the sky that he had not noticed at the time. neither he nor Kodak's technical analysts could identify it. The morning after Valentich disappeared, a farmer in Murray Bridge, a town roughly an hour east of Adelaide, reported something that he did not immediately come forward with. According to George Simpson, Victorian director of the Australian UFO Research Network and the author of the most thorough independent investigation of this case, the farmer had been baling hay when he heard a sound he couldn't place. He uncoupled his machinery from the tractor. The noise continued. He looked up. What he described was a large circular object hovering above the farm. Attached to its side, suspended against it with no visible means of support, was what he said was a Cessna aircraft. Wings folded back, tail hanging over the edge, oil running down the fuselage. He took a nail from his pocket and scratched something into the paint of his tractor so he wouldn't forget it. The registration number he recorded was VH-DSJ. Simpson and fellow researcher Bill Chalker spent years attempting to locate and verify this account. The farmer was never identified by name. Chalker noted with care that the registration number had been widely reported in Australian news at the time of the disappearance, which means the detail on its own cannot be treated as confirmation. The account remains unverified. It has also never been formally refuted. Dr. Richard Haines, a physiological psychologist at NASA's Ames Research Center, who had spent years studying pilot UAP encounters as an aviation safety question, conducted what became the most thorough technical analysis of the case. He published it through the Fund for UFO Research in the mid-1980s. His focus was not speculation, it was corroboration, the alignment between the transmission, the ground witnesses, and the photographic record. His findings did not resolve the case. No findings have. The transcript of Frederick Valentich's final communication has been analyzed by aviation authorities, academic researchers, skeptics, and investigators on multiple continents. There is broad agreement on certain things. His voice does not suggest deception. It does not suggest performance. Investigators familiar with pilot distress, including those looking for reasons to dismiss the report, consistently note that the cadence, the vocabulary, the self-interruptions and upward inflections, they are consistent with a pilot genuinely attempting to describe something he cannot identify. He was not panicking. He was puzzled. There is a difference. The controller, Steve Roby, later described what he heard in those 17 seconds as unlike anything he had encountered in his career. It was not the sound of an aircraft hitting water. It was not radio interference. It has never been identified. Here is what the record confirms. Frederick Valentich departed Moorabbin Airport at 6:19 p.m. on October the 21st, 1978. He contacted Melbourne Flight Service at 7:06 p.m. and reported an unidentified object above his aircraft. He transmitted for 6 minutes and 12 seconds. His final words on record were, "It is hovering and it's not an aircraft." 17 seconds of unidentified sound followed. The transmission ended at 7:12 p.m. and 49 seconds. He was never found. The Australian Department of Transport could not determine the reason for the disappearance. Dr. Haines, after years of analysis, could not determine the reason for the disappearance. 50 independent witnesses on the ground that night reported something in the sky they could not identify. The photographer's image has not been explained. The final 17 seconds of audio have not been explained. What can be said with confidence is only this. A 20-year-old pilot flew a small aircraft over Bass Strait on a calm October evening. He encountered something. He described it, and then he was gone. The most unsettling thing about this case is not the object he described. It's that we have his voice. We have exactly what he said, and it still isn't enough to know what happened to him. This channel exists for people who notice when the official answer isn't really an answer. The archive stays open. leave a like and subscribe.